All right, we're here for a very special episode of Scout Report Podcast. We are currently driving from LA to San Diego. This is the Carcast, driving in cars with terrible card players.
We're in the, I like it. We're driving in that Hyundai Sonata, so the shocks and the insulation is minimal.
Yeah.
So you're probably hearing lots of bumps and traffic now.
There goes the camera.
The camera's gone.
The camera's going to fall off a few times, but that's okay. It's moving. It's just called a slider. Ben's going to try to not slam on the brakes, but...
no guarantees.
Here we go. It's moving again. Oh, God. I guess... All right, this might not work, but we're going to do what we can. We're going to do what we can. It's going to be at least audio.
You want to restart the...
No, this is perfect.
Oh, gosh.
So... We've been in LA the last couple days, went to Universal Studios, went to a comedy show, got some food, some In-N-Out, some delicious Korean BBQ. But before that, we were in Chicago for the Chicago celebration. Ben and I both played in the team event and the singles event with various levels of success. Oh, a garbage truck is trying to kill us. But here we go. So... Team event, we played, was it 6 rounds? I think we went 3 and 3.
Yeah.
It was they started off the day really good. We felt really good, and then we kind of ran into some matchups that for some reason we couldn't get over. I know personally I played skillless, and for some reason I was unable to beat Slug the whole day, even though that matchup should be pretty favorable for me. But you know, if you don't know how to play it, you lose. If you don't see your Taos, you lose. So it wasn't good, but what else did I lose to? I lost to I think it was a Pan player when he chain Zeno'd me, and then I drew back into 3 of the 4. I'm the world champion and no Son Gokus. So what are you going to do? Hey, look, a helicopter. Crazy.
Yeah, we started off 2-0. Things are going pretty well. Shout out to the guys who played round 1. Their names are escaping me, but...
they were Chilai's Chosen.
Chilai's Chosen.
Was their team name.
Yeah, shout out to them.
Fans of the channel.
And then round 2, we played a really tough team. John and Alex both went to draw, and I just barely won my matchup.
Yeah, super tough, hard-fought matches.
Super Shen. I ran Super Shenron, the version that runs the Preface Goku. Not the one that runs the lineage swap.
Yeah, it's this almost pretty much the same version that both Jordan Beard and Danny Hype ran in the singles.
Yeah. So then I had a mirror match that game against, semi-mirror match against the swap version. And that was a really tough matchup. Really came down to the wire. My opponent was able to do their big turn before me in both matchups. But I was able to hold on to my beans because I knew it was going to be a defensive battle, and they didn't have beans, and I think that really just made the difference.
Yeah. And that one card Secret Spice.
Yeah.
It's still secret because we didn't really do much with it. But what did you think of the single Kokona?
Kokono.
The
Yeah.
yellow dude from the new movie.
Yeah, I played a single Kokono in that deck mainly as the last card you want to drop before you swing with all of your people, because it -5K is the leader for the entire turn. So it can give you pretty significant advantage. It's like a 25K card if you think about all the times you're swinging and they're -5K.
Yeah, well, especially with that deck running so many of the Explorer Bolas, it's only a 10K.
Yeah.
Bumping down and equaling that out with a leader really makes a huge difference. Kind of cuts the cards in your opponent's hand in half.
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't get to play it a ton, mainly because after the second round, we ran into lots of bad times. I'll just talk about the later rounds. Round 3, I played Yellow Broly that had Shugesh, and I didn't have Cronoa in my side, so that was bad times. I didn't even get to awaken either one of those games. They just went all in. I think it was turn 2, and just had enough combo power. I didn't see all of my super combos, and it just happens. And then from that point on, the next 7 games that I played, I was flying Nimbus 9 times. I was keeping track. One of those games, I was Nimbus 4 times. Shout out to Ron from Ohio, who was playing Namekians. And honestly, I like steamrolled game 1, thought I would steamroll game 2, and then I just ran into the next 2 games. I ran into 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 Nimbuses, and then I got Demigrid on turn 5 both times. So like,
it's rough.
It's
and I know before the tournament, Ben was like, "Well, it's teams, so maybe I just won't run into Nimbus a lot of the games." And then he proceeds, and right before the tournament, Alex wanted to switch to position 3 instead of position 2, and that actually would have probably changed quite a bit on the day, and we decided not to. But it's whatever.
I mean, picking your slots is really a crapshoot.
It's random. It would have changed who we played depending on how we did, so it's not that big a deal.
I definitely, my public enemy number 1 for a Super Shenron was Nimbus, and the next 4 rounds I ran into, or next 3 rounds I ran into it every single game that I played. So there's only so much you can do when that happens to you every single game.
Yeah.
And then Alex,
he played what, Gogeta Ramp?
He played,
which is a pretty cool deck.
Yeah,
but he unsleeved it immediately after. I don't think he was too happy with the way it performed.
Yeah, I really like the deck. I think there's too many decks right now that run a little too fast for that deck, but I really like that. If the format slows down just a hair, I really think that deck can start making some noise because you just ramp so hard. You get the card advantage from the ramping. And then you just drop bombs all day. So like if the game slows down a little bit more, that would be my on the watch list of decks you would want to consider playing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Gets to an absurd amount of energy, and then hit him with a Chain Zeno, pop one of your lives, draw 2, or one of your energy, draw 2. Just get an absurd amount of advantage.
Yeah. So it wasn't the day that we were hoping for, but those days happen.
It was fun.
Yeah,
I had a good time.
I really enjoyed the team format. I haven't done it before.
Yeah,
and just the concept of like if you lose, you could still win because somebody else, or vice versa, like you can pull it through for your team.
Yeah, makes it a little more exciting.
Yeah, I really enjoy that. So I'm looking forward to this weekend. And you just get to mess with team comps that you would never think about. Usually, you run your deck, you run your side, and that's it. But like now it's more 3-dimensional, or even more 3-dimensional, and the way that you can think about the 3 decks and how you're going to run those decks and sides.
Yeah, I know one of the things that we probably screwed up on a little bit was both your deck and my deck ran yellow, and I probably should have played the blue version of my deck, although you were running beans, so that wouldn't have helped.
No.
So it was tricky, but I think your deck was kind of at its prime. Mine was probably slightly held back due to the choices we had to make, but it still wasn't bad. It just wasn't. I played, instead of the 1-drop Krillin in Skillless, I played the Bardock and basically the 1-2 swap package, and it was good. And when it went off, it was really strong, but it also put a boatload of cards in the opponent's hand, so I wasn't able to as quickly make the kind of overwhelming hand advantage that Skillless can make. So it was a little tricky, especially against like Slug. It's like the crit would have been so nice to not put a bunch of cards in their hand, because I would just get them down to 3 or 4, and then they would just sit there and defend everything and get my hand to nothing, and I couldn't win. So it's pretty painful. But
yeah, I mean, I think one of the big takeaways for us as a team was really trying to focus on, when we construct a team, to not neuter any of the other decks. So like you really want that deck to run at full steam.
Yeah.
And if you have another deck that's going to take away from it, you really got to consider trying something else, just because you want every advantage that you can get.
Yeah, it definitely would have played, we didn't play a red deck. I mean, Alex's was kind of a red deck, but it was a mixture. But
I would have loved to have played a red deck. Let me just say.
Hey, we said you could. You decided Super Shen, which wasn't a bad play.
No, it definitely wasn't a bad play. I think, I think
another week of experience and not running into so many Nimbus, and that was a great choice.
I got PTSD from Nimbus. I'm not running Super Shenron this weekend, but if somebody plays Nimbus on me, I might, break out into tears.
Flip the table, just start shaking.
Yeah, so, public service announcement, please don't play Nimbus on me.
Yeah.
Actually, I'd love for people to play Nimbus on me this weekend for what I play. But, it was a fun time. You want to talk about singles a little bit?
Yeah, so singles, I played Skillless again, but I played the more standard version with the Krillins. Played 4 of the double strike cards, which I thought was pretty clutch, but my day didn't go so hot. I started out really strong. I went 201, and then I got another win, and then I got 2 more draws at the end. And draws are super painful and not something I'm used to getting. I'm pretty fast generally, and never had a draw in a big tournament before. So having 3 in one day is kind of ridiculous to me, and I don't really know how, if it was me playing slow or my opponents or just the matchups or what. I drew against two skillless mirrors, and the last round, which was the Broly. And I think the mirror match was skillless, and know this going in, if you're going to play that skillless, you need to be shuffling fast, searching fast, because when your first game goes 35 minutes, you're not getting to the third game. And it's really painful. And yes, the deck is super strong, but if you're going to get draws, you might consider playing a faster version or something that can seal the game quicker, because it really sucks to have played really well. Like, I think I only lost 3 games all day. And it sucks when you think you played really well and then you go 3-0-3 because of time rules. But I don't really know exactly what I could have done different. The one thing I did see was every time, in every draw, someone played Goku striving to be the best, which turns off half of the,
it's like the
skillless deck.
Skillless.
Yeah, so you can't do stupid stuff like if you have your Aider guy out there and your Goku, you swing with lead and then they negate it, you're kind of screwed. Like, you can't swing with any of those small guys to pop their board and kind of just build advantage. And then you put out the Krillin becomes useless. The 2-drops become useless. You have to rely on the kind of your finisher and the big boys, the 30Ks, which only get so far when your opponent can KO them over and over. So I definitely need to figure out what to side to get rid of that card.
Yeah. I mean, I think that was a big takeaway. Alex also, he just bubbled out. He was 402?
402, yeah.
So
and I think he played even better than I did, which is really rough that happened to him, because if he got one more win, he was top 16. I know his 2 draws were super close to him getting that win. So pretty frustrating.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's the big thing when you go to big tournaments is draws are pretty deadly. You really have to.
Well, especially when like these celebration events only have like 6 rounds. So if you lose a round, you're probably not getting top 16.
Yeah.
Or only 13 people are getting it.
You lose a round, you're absolutely not getting in.
Well, that's not true. There's only 2 undefeateds or 3 undefeateds.
But the way it bubbled out,
you need to lose in like the last round of the tournament.
Yeah, Alex bubbled out with 402. Yeah. So if you had a loss in there,
definitely.
Yeah.
But if he had one more win, if there was people that made top cut with, I think Anthony, who came in second, was 501, and he was also playing skillless. So goes to show you, even like the skillless versus skillless matchup is prone to drawing, which is a little frustrating.
Yeah.
Ben, you played.
I play Baby Vegeta or Vegeta Baby.
Vegeta Baby, Vegeta.
I always say Baby
Who
Vegeta.
cares?
Everybody says Baby Vegeta.
Which is like your deck.
This is my deck. It's a deck I actually feel good about, and I still feel good about.
I think it's solid. The red negates and things are super good right now.
Yeah. I think Vegeta Baby is a great matchup against skillless. They can't, if they put out their 1-drops, they're gone. So it really like kind of puts the fear into skillless players of what they're going to put out there, because knowing it's going to be gone the next turn. And really it's about playing that. If you're going to play Chenzeno, that's great. Or playing it rather aggressively. You don't want to give them time to build hand advantage, but even if they do, they still don't have like the pieces on the board to like for that 1-drop Goku to keep building that card advantage. Yeah. So I actually really like that matchup. I think one card I really think put in work and might still continue to put in work is Body Change Ginyu. I think that card in Vegeta Baby is incredibly dynamic. I stole so many different things over the weekend. Big guys, big Brolys, height of masteries, things like that. And so just with the negging ability on the front side and the back side and the lack of barrier in the current format, I really think Vegeta Baby is primed to have some like really good matchups. I've been waiting for a time where it didn't have so much barrier out in the format. So like I think
there's like almost no barrier.
Almost no barrier.
Except for these like super low cost
like the 3-drop
cards.
Goku promo.
Yeah.
There's a couple other cards out there, but really not a ton of them. So I think he's well primed to be a middle of the road matchup for everyone. There's a few matchup I think are near auto losses. Dende, I think, is a near auto loss.
Yeah, Dende just eats.
And I think also Ram Goku, I haven't played against it a ton, or Ram Gogeta, sorry. But I played one round 1. I think it kind of like torpedoed my day because I lost in round 1, and it was just hard to recover from that. But I was really aggressive against that player. I played 4 Kabas in the main just because I knew there's certain matches I really wanted to be aggressive in. And I was able to play a lot of those out. And just able wasn't to close out the games. He was able to ramp quicker than I was. And so even though I went first in one of the games, he was able to get the 5 first, and we both had the Frieza SCR in hand, and he just dropped his before me.
Yeah,
and
that hurts.
If it was the other way around, I would have won the game. But yeah, so, but I think Vegeta Baby was well primed against the big 3. And so that, for me, is Skillless, Green Broly, and Super Shenron. Super Shenron probably being the most dicey of those 3 matchups,
Yeah, it's
in
a
my
tricky
opinion.
matchup. You got to leave your energy up, like,
yeah,
every turn.
It's about playing D and like having the right negates at the right time. But even with Big Broly, if you're able to do your chain at the right time against their chain, you can pretty much go up their chain and just pop everything. And if they don't have the SCR in hand, they won't even be at 1 life at that point, but they probably won't have it in hand because you just go up right with them, and then you pop with your promo and your big ape, and then your leader ability, you can pop a 35k. So I really like those matchups for the most part, except for cards like Preemptive Strike and Cold Bloodlust, which
mean.
are pains in the butt. Like, having to play minus Killie Zone is such a detriment. I think it just makes things a lot more tough. But I still like the matchup. I'm going to play it again this weekend for singles. I may play it for teams, and we'll see what happens. I think my side's going to be a little bit different. I might side. I wasn't running Chain Zeno. I know everybody says to run Chain Zeno, but I still don't think it's absolutely necessary with Vegeta Baby versus like a Pan. It's definitely necessary, but I probably will run that in the side this weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, a big shout out to Jesus Guzman. Happy birthday. He had his birthday, what was it, on Sunday. I played him in round 4, I want to say. He played a really interesting yellow Broly, had a mastery, but also had the Broly chain in there.
New one, or which?
The new one. Yeah.
The promo, Broly pack one?
The promos, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And honestly, he was like game 2, even though I kind of had the nuts against him. I had minus Killie Zone and Cronoa in my opening hand because he was playing Shugesh. It still was a very close matchup, and the only reason I was able to win is I had the body change Ginyu and was able to steal his 9-drop because it was just locking all my energy in my leaders. So I thought that was an interesting matchup. So shout out to him. I hope he had a good birthday.
Sounds like a cool deck.
Yeah.
What else? Well, talk about the top cut a little bit. So we saw a lot of Skillless. 1 Broly, and the Broly won again with 1 in the top cut. That deck is painful. And I think that deck's going to, as people play against it more and more, and they figure out how to combat it, it's beatable. And I think the game, their second round in the team events, I actually played against the guy that won the tournament. I was able to beat him he beat me the first game, I beat him the second game, and then the third game, I was just about to beat him when they said hands up. All I needed to do was swing with the Black Masan and get through that attack, and I had it. But it's a really, really tricky matchup. You're able to kill the Broly pretty easily, but if you leave it out there, it's kind of deceiving. It plays like it seems like a going tall deck, but it's really a going wide deck, but 1 at a time. And being able to KO guys on the combo step is just disgusting. But I think Crusher Ball, and I sided in 3 Crusher Ball for that matchup, was super MVP against that deck. You just Crusher Ball there, sit there, leave your energy up, drop the Crusher Ball right at the right when the secret rare comes out, and they're at 1 life usually, and you just kill them.
Yeah.
And they can't do nothing.
I think, the magic number, at least for me, for that Broly deck is if you have them at 2 life, you're probably good. Because there are ways to getting to 1 life usually required.
Camera mishap.
Our camera almost fell over. We have an exit, and
we're
fogging up the windows quite a bit.
Dangerous maneuver. We're talking too much.
Yeah. So let me just go to the section. Here, you can start. You can keep talking while
if we died.
if we died. Tell my mom I love her.
Yeah, tell our moms that we love them. All right, this truck just rolled by.
Shout out to my mom. It's her birthday today.
It's your mama's birthday?
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Mom. Ben, mom.
I'll give her a call later.
What else was there?
Skillless. There was a pan that was John's deck.
Yeah, and these guys, like, I almost played pan. I was like, I should have.
Go with your heart, guys.
Deck,
go with your heart.
Go with your heart.
John always says go with your head. I say go with your heart.
That's not true.
You always say go with your heart.
I say go with what you're most comfortable with, because I think that is a far better play than playing a meta deck that you don't know how to play. But I'll probably plan to play pan in the San Diego event, just because I think it's one, I'll enjoy the experience even if I lose.
Yeah.
Although I really enjoy the Skillless deck, I think that deck's super fun, so I might switch back up, but we'll see. I think in the team event I'm going to play pan, but I don't know. His deck was really solid. As with most pan decks these days, I feel like that deck's just been figured out.
What do you think
for the most part
it takes to get to a top cut with pan? Because there's usually like one sitting out there in top cut.
I think if you avoid Super Shen, you'll have a much better time, and that's what he ran into in the top cut. So really rough matchup. Yeah. Pan has a hard time handling a ton of small attacks, because she wants to be doing things like playing double shot Vegeta, which costs energy, which defends one attack, but if you're coming in 4 times, it hurts. She wants to stay at high life and let the game go for as long as possible, get to that 4 or 5 energy count, and then just start making an uncontrollable board state. But I don't know. It's tough, and I think if you don't run into Slug, you're having a really good day. Pan really struggles against Slug. But really, there's not that many decks out there. They're going to give it a ton of trouble. Yeah. I think she has good matchups against the ramp decks, has good matchups against... Pretty good matchup against Skillless. Kind of hard. You really need to hit them with the Zeno and get them to draw into a garbage hand afterwards. But if you can do that, then you're looking pretty. But with Cell and Androids kind of out of the picture, Pan becomes really good. And Pan has a good matchup already against Janemba, and now with TN, it's just like absurdly easy if you see that card. So we'll see. I think it'll be good. Probably see a lot more Pan players on the West Coast. I feel like I always do.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So
what else was there? There was like,
I mean, it was skill. You know, there's a significant. So just anecdotally looking at the top tables,
is mostly Skillless.
Mostly Skillless. Lots of mirrors,
and especially in the section I was in, which is like tables 10 to 20 most of the time. All the draw people, basically. Mm-hmm. It was like all Skillless and Janembas. Yeah. Skillless and Janembas all getting draws all day.
So it's worth like thinking about that. Like, if you're probably going to run into a lot of skills, that'll probably be the deck you're most likely to run into.
Yeah, for sure.
So, you know, when you're trying to make a call, let's say for this upcoming weekend, thinking about that matchup, what's going to not only do well, but like get you the win, not just draw, but win in the matchup.
Especially if you're going to play Skillless in that mirror match, you need something that ends the game faster. It's one of the reasons we ran four of the double strike Champas or Iskais, so that we could try to seal games quicker. And really, it worked really well against Janemba, but a little trickier against the Skillless play, because they do have so much combo power that even if you hit them for 40, they just kind of combo out of it. But yeah, I don't know. Ways to make the game go a little faster. Play a little lower the floor, more of those curling cards, but you got to watch out for striving. It's a tough call.
Yeah. Would you consider putting more kind of higher end cards? Because there's a lot of like smaller cards in that deck.
I think that's the reason the yellow or the blue, I think we've seen it go to top cuts a little bit more than the yellow, both in the team event and the singles. Because it does finish with Gogeta and Demigra, so you can have 2 options, whereas the yellow version really relies on the 30Ks and Demigra, which is a little lackluster, especially in the mirror. Like in the mirror, if you are playing the blue version and you win dice roll against the yellow, you're winning that match if you can play fast enough, because you just get to Gogeta, drop it, and then kill them. There's nothing they can really do. Whereas the yellow has to sit. All right, we had some mechanical difficulties. I think the camera overheated because it's just sitting in the sun. But what were we talking about? We were talking about team event options, all the different things.
Well, where did the camera stop?
The camera stopped when we were talking about
Skillless
Skillless Gogeta. So let's talk again about the team event options. So
okay. Yeah,
we were talking about the oddball ones that are still really good. So Golden Frieza sounds pretty cool. Looks pretty cool. Haven't really seen it in action yet. I know you did.
Yeah,
And
I saw
bodied
a little bit.
by it.
I got bodied. That was the biggest bodied game I had all weekend. Yeah, just didn't have the right answers for it at the right time.
Yeah, and I think that's the story with the deck, is people aren't going to have the right answers for it or know how to play against it. So it's a sneaky play.
Yeah. Red Gogeta.
Red Gogeta is an interesting one. I know I played against one, and it was kind of a no contest. I just went right through them. You just build huge hand advantage, and they eventually run out of steam because they have to defend so much. But there might be different versions of that are better.
Dende's still out there.
Yeah, Dende. I actually think Dende is not a bad play for this weekend, because we only saw. I mean, Markle made it to the finals with it in the team event, so it's still good, especially in a good player's hands. So that could be a solid play. I would actually like to play that deck. Maybe I'll think about that.
Yeah, there's the Agents of the Destruction deck that people keep talking about.
Yeah,
we haven't seen results for it.
Yeah, we've seen it do okay. I know that I think Zap played it in one of the events, but we haven't seen it do well, like super well. So we'll see where that goes. I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely on the list for our team. So our team being
Carlos.
Carlos
wants it. Carlos can't decide.
Yeah, I think Carlos wants to run that. We'll see what happens. I think, again, like if you can run something that people don't understand, I think that's a significant advantage. Even though the deck might not be better per se, if you can play something that somebody doesn't know how to anticipate, I think that should be definitely factored into what you.
Well, especially in the team events when you can get away with playing weird stuff.
Yeah.
And not everyone's deck is super tuned.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What do you think we'll see at the singles event in San Diego?
I think you're going to see more of the same. I don't think you're going to see a significant shift from Chicago. I think the composition is going to be very similar in the way that Broly, when it goes off, and it can be at times difficult to handle if you get the right cards in hand at the right time. So I always think there will be one or two Brolys making top cut and making some noise, just because if you pull the right cards, you can go pretty deep. I think there's going to be a ton of skillless, mainly because of saturation. So the more decks people play, I think the more you see at the top tables.
Yeah.
So I think, there's going to be a handful of those as well. I always think there's one, it's like one red deck gets in per event.
One or two, yeah.
It's a Pan or a Vegeta baby. One gets in just because that's the rules. And then who knows what else you see. And I don't think, again, there's a lot of Janemba players still out there, so one might sneak in, but I really think there's a lot of decks that counter it hard at this point.
I think there's less Janemba players on the West Coast. I think we'll see a little bit of change in meta just because this is a West Coast event. I have a feeling we're going to see more kind of odd stuff, because that's kind of what we tend to do over here. We don't necessarily play a solid field of meta decks. I think we'll see Herudegarn a little bit, a comeback.
Red blue?
Yeah, I think the red blue version. I think even the blue black version might see a comeback.
Okay.
I think we'll see some interesting Agents of Destruction stuff probably, and
Super Shenron.
Yeah, I think Super Shenron. We like Storm for sure. But I have a feeling there's going to be some kind of control deck or something that does all right.
Yeah, there might be one that sneaks in there. I think West Coast likes control.
Yeah.
West Coast really likes...
we like a little slower. A little bit.
U7, Frieza, Victory Strike.
Announcer.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It should be interesting. Hopefully it is a little different, because the last two events have been exactly... It was basically the exact same event. So hopefully somebody comes up with some nice...
I don't think any control is going to make it into the top cut, though.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that now.
I don't know.
I think it's hard for.
I don't think that Frieza control deck can, but I think like a Herdigarn Hand Destruction or something could.
Yeah.
That's a little more control-y, but.
I mean, I do think that Golden Frieza with Hand Destruction, pick your poison.
Yeah, that could do it. That could be the one that.
Pick your poison of what Hand Destruction you want to go, what route. But it has the tools to build size, and then with Cold Bloodlust control the tempo of the game a bit, and then drop big bombs to control hand size. I do think it's still tough because Skillus draws a ton of cards.
Yeah, it doesn't really care that much.
Super Shenron doesn't care a ton. It cares a little bit depending on what cards you grab out of their hands. But if they can dictate what cards come out of their hands,
yeah,
I think
it actually helps them a little bit.
So we'll see. We'll see if it can rally.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so let's end it there before we get into a car accident because traffic is picking up. But
A car accident.
I've totaled 2 cars,
Okay,
so
well, that's why
I have bad luck. Yeah, that's why Ben's driving. Never my fault, but it's happened. So
That's what somebody would say.
and it won't be my fault this time either because I'm not driving. That's terrible juju. Let's not do that.
Are we releasing this before the weekend?
Probably.
So, like, if you're listening, come say hi to us. We're always down to see people, and
Yeah, we'll be a
have
big
good
group
weekend.
in jerseys,
Yeah.
being dumb, saying dumb, doing dumb stuff, having a good time. So thanks for watching. Peace out.